My first son, Bradley, was starved of oxygen for 17 minutes during my first labour, which resulted in a whole lot of health problems. He was quite badly disabled, he wasn't able to swallow, wasn't able to move, he was blind and deaf, which obviously left me a complete wreck. And when I got pregnant again for the second time, I was quite scared. I met my first birth doula, Jude, who came around and introduced herself, and instantly I could tell we were going to get along fantastically. And she offered me the support I needed by coming to all my different appointments with me, making sure that any concerns that I had were addressed, and making the whole experience a lot more pleasant for me than it usually would have been. Together we managed to get the head consultant to do my caesarean, the head anaesthetist to do my epidural, knowing that I would feel a lot safer and a lot more content with people that I knew, that I'd met, that I knew what they were doing. I mean, I even had sugar babes playing throughout my caesarean to relax me. My son was born to push the button by sugar babes, and the lights were dimmed. And also Toby was brought to me straight away, which was something that I missed out on with my first birth. When I had Bradley, because he was so poorly, I had to give up my job, which was quite difficult for both of us, and obviously meant that we only had the one wage coming in really. So to being able to afford a doula wouldn't have been an option, but it was support that I really needed, and I'm thankful that the Hardship Fund was able to pay for that for me.
My client didn't live in England. She's from a Spanish background, and her partner was in prison. So she was on her own. She didn't have any real support, and it was her first baby, and she lived alone. And she rang and made the inquiry about having a doula, having spoken to some people at the hospital. My client's fears really were that she was going to be pushed into, at her most critical moment, into things like having a forceps delivery, having a episiotomy. She was very adamant about not having either of those. And I think she believed that without having the advocate there for her, that somewhere along the line she would have been pressured into either one of these interventions. The Hardship Fund did allow her to have more or less as good as the birth that she wanted to have, and everything went really well.
I didn't have to worry about Stephen as much because obviously Selena was there. And it also helped to provide reassurance for a home birth.
Yes.
With Selena's support and experience.
A midwife wonderfully is there to be a clinician and to take care of the clinical side of the birth, but they don't tend to be emotionally supportive of both parents, whereas the doula takes care of that side as well. The postnatal period seems to be more relaxed because of the reassurance you receive from the doula. Without the service, I think we would have found ourselves in a very difficult position.
Certainly, and feel deserted as well.
Because I'd been so afraid that something would go wrong with my second pregnancy, I hadn't bonded with my baby at all, and they all knew that that was something that needed to be kept an eye on really, and just Antonia giving me the time and space I needed with Toby allowed me to create that bond with him, which was amazing really, and also helped me to breastfeed, which fortified the bond even more.
Giving support to Suzanne and Michael postnatally meant that she was able to bond with Toby, to have that time together with him that a new mum would have with her first child all on their own. She was able to make that bond, able to learn how to breastfeed.
Well, when I came, Jude and Mark were struggling a bit. They had a 4-year-old and the 2 babies who were about 2 months old, and they were suffering from lack of sleep. A little bit, life was chaotic. It was firefighting. You were firefighting at the time, and I guess what I did was just to restore a bit of order, maybe to a little bit of order in the chaos.
You just cannot overestimate support. Really, really important. And I think Mark and I, we've hit some difficult places with the pressures of having the twins, and Dillian's support certainly made us all a lot stronger as a family unit, enabled us to be more strong together and have that overview and clarity over how to deal with things as they came up. And I think it would have been an awful lot more difficult with possible kind of more negative consequences for us individually had we not had that support.
I'd definitely use a doula again. In fact, I recommend it to all my family and friends, anyone I know that's pregnant, just because it was just such a great support. I think if you don't have family members like a mum or a sister or a really good friend, you do need somebody on there that's just concentrated on you. I mean, midwives and health visitors, they see a lot of different people. They try and deal with your questions and concerns, but sometimes you just need something that's a bit more one-to-one. Someone that's there specifically for you, really, and that's concentrating on you, and it helps you feel a lot safer and a lot more secure. So yeah, definitely I'd use a doula again.
I've supported women with, mental health problems, all sorts of difficulties, and it's hard to cope with having a new baby. It's hard to be pregnant, it's hard, and if you get supported well during your birth and you have a good birth experience, then it helps you to feel better as a mother, as a stronger, more confident mother, and that obviously helps you in whatever your circumstances are.
Listening to women like Suzanne about their positive stories of having a doula could really help, would encourage somebody to possibly contribute to the Hardship Fund, maybe thinking back to their own experiences, and if they weren't ideal, how that could have possibly been different with the help of somebody, a woman who was specially trained, who could empathise, who could take care of all those loose ends, and how that might be able to help them.